Hello and welcome. If you've ever wondered what you can make with just 1 yard of fabric, then this is definitely a video you would want to stick to till the very end. We are going to be making this rather simple and beautiful dress for a 5-year-old child. But before we get into the details, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share this video. So I have here a brown floral print cotton fabric. This is just a yard of fabric that I'll be using for this project. And I also have here a pink bias tape. This bias tape is 1/2 inch in width. I'll be using this to design the armhole area of this dress. So I chose a color that is contrasting with the main fabric color of this dress, just to create that beautiful appearance I want to achieve. So let's go ahead and then cut out our fabric, and then we'll put the pieces together to come out with our dress. So I have here 2 pieces of fabric that is on fold. The fold line is towards this side and it's folded into 4 pieces. So this is what I'll be using for the yoke of this dress. This fabric is about 9 inches in width and then 4.5 inches in length. The next I'm going to do is I'll further fold this into 2. I'm going to be marking my neck width. That will be 3 inches for this dress, and then I'll be doing a neck depth of 2.5 inches. So I'll go ahead and then mark it and then connect these 2 points with a straight line. So this dress is actually a square neck dress. So it's important to have the neck wide enough so it can be able to fit the head of this child. So after inputting my neck depth and then my neck width, I'm going to go ahead and then cut out the neck area. So this is what my fabric pieces look like. I'll be having 2 pieces. And so I'm going to go ahead and separate the 2 pieces of fabric, and then I would turn it right sides facing each other. I'm going to make sure that this is properly aligned on top of one another. Then I'll head to my sewing machine and then stitch around the neck region of this dress. So after stitching it down, this is what it looks like. I also gave each corner of this neck a notch so that it will be easy for me to turn it inside out. So I'm going to go ahead and then turn this fabric inside out like I'm doing here. Then I'll head to my ironing table and then give this a very good press. So after pressing it down, it's looking so neat and very beautiful. I'm going to be setting this aside, then we'll concentrate on the bottom part of this dress. So for the bottom part, I have 2 pieces of fabric here. This fabric is 18.5 inches in width, and then it's also 17 inches in length. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'll fold this fabric into 2. So I'll make sure that the sides are properly aligned. Then from the top, I'm going to mark 1.5 inches down, mark, and then go in by 1.5 inches again and then mark. So I'm going to connect this point with a straight line. Then I will curve in my armhole at this point. So after curving in the armhole, I'll go ahead and then cut it out. So after cutting out the armhole, I'll be having 2 pieces, one for the front and then the other for the back. And this is what the pieces of fabric actually look like. So I'll go to my sewing machine and then draw gathers on the top this way for both pieces of fabric. So after drawing the gathers in, I brought in my yoke, and then this is what the gathered bottom part looks like on both sides. So the next I'm going to do is to place the bottom part of this dress on the yoke and then pin the ends. So I'll pin from one side to the other and then repeat the same process for the other fabric piece. Then when I'm done with the pinning, I'll head to my sewing machine and then stitch them down on 1/2 inch for both sides of this dress. So I've stitched them down. This is what it looks like. It's already coming together beautifully. So the next I'm going to do is, I have my bias tape here. I'll be using this to clean the armhole area of this dress. So I intend to stitch it from the wrong side of this dress first, from one side of the armhole to the other side. Then when I'm done stitching, I'll turn it inside out and then top stitch the bias. So I'll repeat the same process for the other side of this dress. And for the frills, I have 2 strips of fabric here. This piece of fabric is 7 inches in length and then 37 inches in width. So this is what I'll be using for the bottom part of this dress. And I have 2 pieces. I'll be using one for the front and then the other for the back. So I'm going to separate the pieces and then I'll head to my sewing machine and draw gathers from one side of this fabric to the other, and I'll repeat the same process for the other piece of fabric. So this is what the armhole area looks like after I cleaned it with the bias tape. It's looking so neat and so beautiful already. So I'm going to bring in my frills, the one I made for the bottom part of this dress. Remember, I made 2 pieces. I'll be using one for the front and then the other for the back. So I'm going to go ahead to the hem of this dress and then place the first gathered fabric on top of this dress this way, and then I'll pin from one end to the other on the hem of this dress. And I'll repeat the same process for the other hem of this dress, and then I'll head to my sewing machine and then stitch this down. I'll stitch the other side down as well. So I'm done. This is what it looks like. It's looking so beautiful already, and we are almost through with this dress. So the next thing I'm going to do is to stitch the sides down together on 1/2 inch. So I'll be stitching from the wrong side of this dress. Please remember that. So I'll stitch the other side on the sewing machine as well. Then for the hem of this dress, to clean this up and finish the hem off nicely, I'm going to fold in 1/4 inch twice and then stitch it down on the sewing machine. And then I'll repeat the same process for the other side of this dress. So I'm done stitching the dress down. This is what the final project looks like. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. This is the hem. It's looking so neat. This is a very simple tutorial, and I hope that you will give it a try. Thank you so much for making time to watch this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more interesting and beginner friendly tutorials. We'll see you in our next video. Thank you so much for watching.